You're listening to Never Heard of It, a Night Shift Radio production.
I burned my hand when I was cooking earlier.
Why did you do that?
I was making quesadillas, and
An entire case of Diaz?
I was making an entire case of Diaz, and it turns out that case was way too big for the pan. No, so they give us these giant tortillas to make them in, just like, you know, fucking like vinyl, like 12-inch vinyl. So I guess they were roughly 12-inch quesadillas. And I have one frying pan that almost fits one of those. I would have done like both of them together and then just like, get some uniform to them. And,
Right.
but I only fit one at a time. So I made Ellen's. I took it out. I cut it up. I put mine in. And of course, it like kind of all fell apart when I did because it was too big. It was the whole thing. And then I went to flip it, and the butter in the pan chose that moment to like spatter everywhere, just like all over my hand, and like some pretty gnarly burns. So
Chick stick
Keep
scars,
looking
though,
at-
so you got that going for you.
I joked with Ellen that all of my most mundane scars are on this one hand. I've got the one on my one knuckle from where I accidentally cut it while doing dishes at one of my jobs. I have one right here on the back of my hand where I got too close to a fence when I was out walking the dog and like cut it wide open and thought it was fine, but then it got really infected. And now I'm going to have these like spatter scars. I've got one other that I don't remember where it came from. Like nothing cool has happened, but like this hand is scarred up like crazy.
I wonder, because we've talked about this before on the podcast, and you've talked about this on Second Edition 1. I wonder if every time you get a scar on that hand, the wound appears on one of your other time traveling replicant people. You know, like maybe the older alternate Caleb Coy will all of a sudden look at his hand and be like, "How the fuck did I get that?" Just because, like
the physical matter of my body trying to correct itself through time. I'm of the belief that those versions exist as separate entities and wouldn't be directly affected by anything that happens to me in the physical world and vice versa. Although that said, that could also explain some of the bizarre random pains that I experience. That definitely, and not the fact that I am nearly 40.
Yeah, it's totally alternate reality, interdimensional time hopping clones, and nothing to do with age.
Listen, other Calebs, you're messing around with time and space is ruining our body.
Right? It's really messing up our knees. All this time hopping.
Do you have any idea how badly my toe joints hurt?
I say this is probably one of the best, like the idea about that. Like I think about this often. I think this is one of the coolest things when I think about you and the things we like running jokes or running scenarios on this podcast. Time traveling interdimensional alternate reality Koi is in fact one of my favorites. It's
There's potential for
it's
so
just
many.
great.
So I had thought I landed on, 'cause there was that website like How Many of Me or whatever the fuck it
Yep.
was. Our editor for Storyteller Series, Mike White, he linked it for us one day in Slack. But you can put in your first and last name, and it will tell you how many people there are in the United States with that combination of names. And for me, there were 2 Caleb Coys. And I was like, well, I wonder if one of them is one of the alternate me's that somehow managed to find a way to like exist as himself and not like have to create like a fake persona, and like just like somehow got a job and income and whatnot, and is just living as me somewhere else. And then I made the mistake of doing some research and found that There are actually more than just two of us. So first of all, the website is wrong, which, I mean, I'm not really surprised, but come on.
Right.
And second of all, I don't think I would like any of them.
You know what's really crazy is that there is a Michael Cherniak, another Michael Cherniak, and he is a film editor. Actually, he works in the film industry and he works as an editor. And I'm like, wait, is that me though? Wait, that's kind of what I do. Wait. So our IMDb profiles get mixed up often.
Yeah, I'm back to believing that either the other me's are living under their own identity and just hiding very well, which feels difficult in the modern age. But we're clever, or they've taken on completely new identities somehow. Which the version of me that traveled back far enough in time to have served in the Vietnam War, I could see him like that. That was prime time where he still could have gotten away with assuming a new identity. Like,
oh yeah, totally.
Could have just become one of his war buddies or something like that. Like, you see movies about that all the time. So,
yeah.
He could be like a
Principal
Jack
Skinner.
Spellman or Principal Skinner.
That was Principal Skinner. He was actually Armand Goldman or Armand something or other. Armand something, and he took the name of Skinner. Who was a war buddy of his that died and took over his life, living with the mother and living with the thing. That was like a whole plot that ended up happening, that Skinner was not actually Skinner. And that like even his mom knew, but she was just so happy to have like a person back and didn't like the idea of her husband or her kid dying that she just went with it.
I love that you went with Principal Skinner and not Don Draper or like any of the other versions of this story.
Listen,
I genuinely appreciate that. Now, the version of me that is like roughly the same age that I saw just walking around the Central West End in St. Louis one day. I don't know how he's pulling it off. Because first of all, Central West End is bougie as fuck, and like I want to know how he's affording rent there without setting off any sirens for me.
Yeah.
And second of all, what is he doing?
Caleb Coy, city planner.
What is he doing? Why are you doing this? That was the weirdest one though, because I saw him walking ahead of me, and it was same hair, like color, cut, length, rough, like slightly different clothing style, but it wasn't out of the realm of belief that a version of me would have like stuck with this particular style that we used to wear when we were in our early 20s and just like stayed with it. Same walk, same like physical build, looked exactly like the times that I've seen like video or photos of myself walking from behind. It was dead ringer. So of course I didn't see his face. So realistically it was someone else, but like it was just it was you. Too fucking weird.
That is wild.
Yeah.
But we're not here to talk about that. That's our other podcast called Hello Me, It's Me. And I
think at this point we are here to talk about
it. Right. It's been 8 minutes.
We've talked about it enough.
But yeah, so keep an eye out for that podcast. Hello Me, It's Me. I just invented it right now, and it's now a podcast we're gonna do. So we're here, in fact, to talk about movies. So with that being said, hello and welcome to the Never Heard of Podcast Trailer Edition. I'm your host, Michael Veit.
And I am Caleb, but not primetime timeline Caleb.
That's your Twitter thing. I like it. So we're here to tell you about our new episode. So we are, so tomorrow, if you're listening to this, on the day that it normally comes out, tomorrow, no, Wednesday, wait, what day do we release trailers now? Wednesday? Thursday?
I think it's Thursday.
Yeah. Well, either way, this Friday, the season finale of WandaVision happens, and we have learned that Kathryn Hahn's character is a major aspect of it. Has been a major aspect. No spoilers. But Kathryn Hahn. So we are going to celebrate Kathryn Hahn in our first episode of March, and we are going to do the film Afternoon Delight. This is a cool little indie film starring Kathryn Hahn, Juno Temple, Josh Radnor. Josh Radnor is who was Ted Mosby in How I Met Your Mother. Mm-hmm. And so we're going to talk about that movie. It's a cool little indie movie. Came out in 2013. It is currently streaming for free on Tubi TV as well as a few other providers. So if you're the type of person that watches movies before the episode comes out, this is where you can go ahead and watch it. And if you are the type of person that watches after, well, if you don't want to wait long, you can actually go to our Patreon. That's nsrad.io/Patreon, or nightshiftradio or patreon.com/nightshiftradio. And you can actually subscribe to our Patreon, and for just $5 a month, you can actually get our full-length episodes up to 3 days early. And our episode for this will actually drop on Friday. So you can listen to us talk about the movie on Friday, and then you can watch the movie and over the weekend with whoever you would like, or by yourself, because, I watch movies alone all the time, and it's great.
Yeah. I used to, back in the days, the before times, as a young lad, I would go to the theater all the time by myself, just especially pre-Regal, when it was still Hoyt's and the local Hoyt's would still do $5 Thursdays or whatever. I would go all the time. That was one of my favorite things to do. Just I've got a day off, I'm going to go see a movie. Fucking loved it. And the number of times that I would tell people that, and they're like, "You go to movies alone?" I'm like, "You don't?"
Yeah.
What's weird about that?
In 2019, I added it up. I went to 52 movies alone in 2019. I kept track of it in my Regal app because I wanted to know.
That's one a week.
But it was pretty much. I went pretty much one a week. I watched any movie that came out. And it was actually really cool. But at the time I was living a mile away from a theater, a Regal theater, so it was super easy to do. I was working in film at the time, so I would go, a month I would go a month or two with just not working. So I had tons of time, and I was like, I'm just going to go see a fucking movie. And I think I had Movie Pass at the time. Yeah.
Because that was right after I moved away, because prior to that, we had been going to see such gems as The Hurricane Heist and Alita Battle Angel, which actually was very good.
It wasn't bad.
Because I also lived within walking distance of the theater as well. So
yeah, you were the same distance, but the other side of it. Mm-hmm. So it was the same distance I was to the mall you were, but going the other direction. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so anyways, our upcoming episode, it's coming out this Sunday, or again, you can see it earlier on Patreon. And of course, if you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe on this video so you get notified on Sunday when the actual episode comes out over on YouTube. So there's so many different ways you can watch and listen and participate in this podcast. All of them are appreciated, from the high end of subscribing to the Patreon to the very low and simple end of just plain subscribing. And of course, the middle, easy to do one is sharing with a friend and leaving a rating and review in your podcast player of choice. That is probably the most helpful. The Patreon's really cool. It helps, keep the lights on for all of the shows and stuff like that. Sharing with a friend is nice, gets another listen. Both are very appreciative, but that middle one, the leaving rating review, is probably the biggest thing you can do for your favorite podcast. It really is insanely helpful. So
yes.
So do that.
so do it.
So just do it, please.
Just do it. Why are you even waiting?
But anyways, thanks a lot for listening to this trailer episode, and we will see you on Sunday.
Hey, you're part of it.